If you're looking for a handout, keep looking. I have a hard enough time keeping this mangy dog fed. Let me guess. Orenol sent you to let me know he'll be on his adventure for another few weeks, yeah? Well, you go right on back to him and tell him this. Dogs are expensive. He's going to compensate me for all I've spent feeding this root-ass mutt. He's... what? He's dead? How in Ifra's name did that happen? Orenol's dead? I can barely believe it. My cousin always did crave adventure, but he was always so careful. I never thought... No matter. I know why you're here. It's about the dog, isn't it? I always knew he loved her more than he let on. I suppose I have to. I'll admit, the mutt's more useful than most. She at least keeps the rats at bay. Besides, I don't think anyone else would. Thank you for letting me know. Here's something for your troubles.
The fight is well and truly lost. Get out of our town. You aren't welcome here.
Hello. I think Cormount is a fine town. I do. I see some people in town do not, and that is their opinion and their business. But it is fine to me.
Hold my tusk. I'll show him too old.
I feel sorry for old Agazu. She must have known this day was coming, but the mayor should have at least given her a warning.
Well met, traveler. Well met, traveler. What brings you out to Fell's Run? You know about Aunt Dulza? How? She's been missing for over 20 years now, ever since she set out to Craglorn to deliver a shipment. Steel and stone. We all suspected it, of course. Aunt Dulza was stubborn as a pack mule when it came to deliveries. When she never arrived in Dragonstar, still, can't help but hold on to hope sometimes. What? You managed to recover the Gro Morkel clan's ancestral sword? Let me see that. By Moloch's jawbone, it is the sword! Returned after all this time. Another reason we knew Aunt Dulza was dead. She'd never let that sword be lost. This means more than you know. The Gro Morkel clan had all but given up finding this sword again. Now we can finally return to Orsinium with our heads high. Thank you. Your actions deserve a greater reward than this, but it's been a slow year.
You'll get yours for interfering, mortal.
And when a customer enters the store, what do we say?
Welcome, citizen.
Good! And when they ask how much something is, what do we say then?
Cease your actions, or you will be taken into custody. Combat sequences recalculating. Increasing auditory function by 20%. Routine diagnostics complete. Resuming threat awareness.
Hello there. Are you here in response to the bulletin about my factotum research? Would you believe that the Apostles don't know how to create factotums? That was a rhetorical question. The sad truth is that while we Apostles can create metal limbs and motors, we cannot replicate the intelligence Sotha Seal gave the factotums. We're also unable to enter the factories where they're created. Why does Lord Set do anything? He's the father of mysteries, after all. Through his silence, curiosity is born. Perhaps he meant for us Apostles to figure this one out on our own. And I believe I've finally found a breakthrough with this factotum. Firstly, I already know it is an older, simpler model. You can see the dwarven influences in the skull. An aesthetic blight by today's standards. We Apostles see dwarves as a race to scorn, not emulate. This model must predate that thinking. Secondly, unlike other factotums, it openly speaks of its components. Trust me, I've interrogated many of these machines in the name of my research. Perhaps as we reconstruct its mind, it will tell us details about its creation. And thirdly, well, its voice. Factotums are genderless machines, of course, but they all sound distinctly female. This one is the first I've met to have a male voice. I'm not sure what it means, but I am sure I'll find answers as I further my research. hello there. Are you here in response? Fantastic. Now let me fill you in on the details. I found this factotum head in a junk pile, which isn't too uncommon for the brass fortress. I was intrigued, however, by its strange coloring. I was even more intrigued when it began to speak to me. It gave a repeated message, requesting to find its integral of memory in the mnemonic planisphere. That's where you come in. I need an adventuring sort to journey to the planisphere in order to find this component. Are you still interested? The journey to the mnemonic planisphere is riddled with dangers, so it's best to prepare. Shouldn't be any issues once you head inside, though. My research leads me to believe the integral of memory will resemble a crystal. Would you believe that the apostles don't...
serve you today, Lord Silverseal. Do you need your clothes washed? Your hair...
Daedric threat detected.
I already told you, you piece of scrap! Ain't no Daedra in Clockwork!
Daedric threat detected in Clockwork City.
Shut your metal trap! before I tell
Assessing
you to
structural
pass.
integrity. Reflecting. Coils indicate 0 intruders.
Memory detected. Would you be so kind as to insert it into my forehead ridge?
You've returned in one piece. How gleaming! In your absence, I've set up a framework to contain the factotum while we assemble its parts. I'll have you do the honors. Of installing the integral of memory. You heard the head? Insert the crystal into its forehead ridge. And don't worry, you won't break it. Sotha Seal builds his creations to last.
The artist thrust to the left, please. Your left, not mine. Reflecting. Reflecting. Oh, I feel positively spring-loaded now. What a kind, generous apostle you are. Which I recall is rather strange. I don't quite understand. I function only to know my Lord Sotha Seal and his apostles. You are not my lord, and thus you must be an apostle. Simple. Do you have an inquiry, or perhaps a task for me, apostle? Reflecting. Reflecting. I've come to the conclusion that I am. I have no memory stored of any of my kind who are older, so I conclude that I must be the first. How gleaming. I cannot recall my name, but you may call me Precursor. Of course, let me check my integral of memory. Should be right. Great Sotha Seal in the sanctum. Someone's tampered with my crystalline memory matrix. But wait, something's burned in here. I seem to have left a note for myself. Ahem. Salutations, me. By now you must be wondering what happened to our memory. Dark forces have conspired to corrupt our knowledge of the world. But do not fear. I, the past you, have stored our memory in our other parts. A circumstance I have not accounted for. This is me now, not the message. I recall that my design includes both Dwemer and Clockwork parts. I also recall my blueprint, so I can guide my assembly once you find my parts. So the seal guide you, Apostle.
Astounding! The first factotum Sotha Seal created. We simply must complete construction now. The more memory it recalls, the further my research can develop. Council seat, here I come! The Precursor mentioned he was made of Clockwork and Dwemer parts. I'd keep an eye out for the former as you travel around Clockwork City, and search Dwemer ruins out in Tamriel for the latter. And of course, I have your reward as promised.
Apostle, I have remembered something. Come quickly before it rusts. Ah, the sounds and smells of Morrowind. I know these lands like the back of my hand. My left hand, to be exact. Lord Sotha Seal deemed it uncouth to give my parts eyes, but each has a wide array of sensors. I can orient myself on Nirn by the air's smell and the earth's feel. Why, my pelvis even has gustatory sensors. I suspect that's Lord Vivek's contribution. I mean, of course, I have no proof that he had a part in my creation, but I like to think so. My dramatic flair, my poetic soul, it helps set me apart from the rest of my siblings. To sense, to touch, to feel, what gift I have been given.